All right. How you doing, folks? Ron Raymond here from the Raymond Report, along with the big Ragu, Christian Nalli of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. And big Ragu, how you doing today?
Ronaldo, what's up, my man? How you doing?
Hey, I'm a little distracted by the Bella Boys background in the background there. You got the big espresso machine behind you. You got it looks like some pastries. What are you doing over there?
You know what, man? After the show, I'm picking up a little chicken parm sandwich. I recommend that to the first timers that go visit Bella's Boys on Green Bank. If
Yeah.
you're gonna pop your cherry, pop it with a parm.
A parm, eh? What about the cannolis? Are the cannolis good over there or what?
Cannolis are always good, no matter where you go, right? So,
Yeah. Well, we know Big Rick there on Bank Street's got some good espressos there. I remember that from last year.
yeah.
But yeah, you know what? Hey, speaking of espressos, your picks did pretty well last week. You cashed in at DraftKings on a couple $100,
Yeah.
and you got pretty excited there for a few hours, right?
I'm gonna try to keep it PG-13, Ron. Let's just say between 2 and 4:30, I was top of the mountain.
Top of the mountain, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, the
and
nice way to put it.
Yeah. Hey, it's like an old high school sweetheart. It'll break your heart in the fourth quarter, right?
She'll tease you, yeah.
Yeah, she'll tease you right to the fourth quarter. But that's hey, you know what? I'm not going to come on here and say I'm a big DraftKings guy or fantasy guy. I dabble into it, and truth be told, I got into fantasy sports about 2 years ago, and the one thing it really did from my handicapping point of view is sharpen my skills on the players, knowing more situational stats of the players. Because when you're a handicapper like I am, you handicap the number, and the game within the number is the number. And when you're doing DFS, obviously it's more player tracking, obviously 100%. And it's anybody who's a handicapper and that's not into DFS. It can take a lot of time. It's very time consuming, but it allows you to stay more engaged in team by team by team and knowing what's going on. And if you're a handicapper like me, you can only do so many sports. Like there's no way I could do any of the colleges and try to be a DFS player because just too many players in those leagues.
Oh yeah, 100%, Ron. It's it's something that Sunday night game finishes and Monday morning you're back at it again as far as your research and checking on like past stats and whatnot. So many different intangibles that go into getting ready for the Sunday slate.
Yeah, speaking of getting ready, like in your own practice, when you obviously after a Monday is over, you get right back at it on Tuesday and start looking at the upcoming games and then start doing your homework, or do you take a day off, or like how does the big Ragu work at?
As soon as Monday morning I open my eyes, buddy, I grab my coffee and I'm at it right away.
Oh really?
As soon as the slates are out and it's open on DraftKings to see the following week's matchups, I'm in there.
And what do you do? Like, do you go look right away for prices and see the value of the players and?
Like, just to check and see, if they've dropped or if how much did they go up based on what happened the previous week, obviously. And if the deal's right, then you start kind of putting your lineups together in your head. It's okay. You take a note. I like this guy. Just go from there. But you follow the week too, especially when it comes to injuries and whatnot. And obviously the final injury report doesn't come out till Friday. So it's like I said, it keeps my week busy.
Hey, you know what? If anything, it prepares you to be a GM down the road, right? You can
exactly,
it's like building your team. That's the thing I love about doing it when I play. I love doing it in hockey. I seem to tend to do better with hockey, but basketball, baseball, I love baseball. Baseball, and if you're a number crunchers like we are, baseball is the sport, right? Baseball is just that sport where you can crunch all the numbers. And you got to find that value. You got to find that needle in the haystack that, not everybody's on, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're going to have there's 9 spots to fill on a DraftKings roster, right? So, you're going to have your 5 main corp guys, like your usual suspects, right? And then your medial, and then, maybe 1 long shot, maybe that third receiver on the depth chart, or, a low defense, a low costing defense.
All right. Hey, let's get into Thanksgiving Day games. And for all our American viewers, happy Thanksgiving. And hopefully everybody has a safe Thanksgiving. And man, we're lucky we get to benefit. We had the Canadian Thanksgiving a month ago, and now we get to enjoy the American Thanksgiving with some football. And maybe a little turkey leg will make its appearance on the Raymond household tomorrow. But before we get to that, Chris, the big Ragu will be selling his selections here on our site, atsstats.com. He'll have his own personal pages. He'll have DFS. He'll have handicapping picks. And also, if you're interested in the membership at atsstats.com, why not enjoy 25% off? I'm going to do a screen share right now. Let me know if you see the front page here, Chris. Do you see Kyler Murray right there?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. So right now we're running a Black Friday week sale. Use promo code THANKS25, capital T, THANKS25. Get 25% off your next membership package right here at atsstats.com. Also, if you click on this banner right here, the free tip sheet, this is the Raymond Report. We have a light version of the Raymond Report. You go to the pull-down menu right here, and you just select the game of your choice, and you scroll up and down, and we got some great tools that you can use for your handicapping, some nice stats and trends. And this is all free. All you got to do is sign up. There's no cost for signing up. We won't ask you for any payment details. You just sign up, and then you get access to the free Raymond Report. And also, we got a good team we're building here. We got the Big Ragu Sports on board now. We have Ross Benjamin of RBWins.com, and Chip Chirimbas from Las Vegas is now part of the remember that old wrestling, the foursome, the Four Horsemen?
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
Ric Flair.
Yeah, was it? Well, Arn Anderson, I think it was one of them.
Ollie Blanchard, yeah.
Yeah. The Four Horsemen. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have we're building a team here at atsstats.com with a lot of experienced handicappers, and we're including DFS. And folks, again, if you're interested in any of our selections, just go to our website here at atsstats.com. All right, let's take a look at the Friday slate, Chris. Now, looking back at your picks last week, you came on here and you said, hey, Deshaun Watson's going to be one of my core selections, and you pretty much nailed it, right?
Yeah, Deshaun Watson actually ended up with, I believe, something over 34 points last week. What was it? 34.4 points last week against New England. The guy's been hot all season. Again, with the exception of that Cleveland game, he's been pretty consistent for a DFS play. We're looking at 21, 23, 29, 35, 27, 24, 34 last week. I mean, he's hot, man.
Yeah, and a pretty good salary at 6,500. That I think I'm not, like I said, I'm not the expert here, but to me that sounds like a good bargain for a quarterback like Deshaun Watson to get 34 points last week. Not too bad if you had him, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, as much as sometimes you want to jump on a guy like Will Fuller or any of the receivers, sometimes the safe bet is take the quarterback that is going to spread the ball around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just, the home field advantage kind of thing. I know with COVID, it's not a full stadium, but still, I really look at that when I'm picking a quarterback. It's that hometown quarterback.
Well, it's it's logistics too, right? They don't have to travel. They're the comfort of their own bed. The only thing they really got to worry is just get to the stadium. They don't, like you said, there's no COVID situation, home crowd. So, like I said with Ross Benjamin today in our podcast, one of the best replies was Bill Belichick. And when they asked him in week 1, Coach, how did it feel out there? And he goes, practice. Bill Bell, it was a dry Bill Belichick, right? Felt like practice. And that's what it probably feels to a lot of these guys, like a controlled scrimmage with, another team showing up. All right. Hey, you know what? Deshaun Watson this week, 7,400. AJ McCarron at 4,700 as his backup. And then you got Matthew Stafford. We weren't sure all week, right, if he was going to play with his thumb. And it looks like he's got the green light to go. And at Matt Stafford on Thanksgiving Day, Thursday at home, $5,800, man. And the thing I love to do, Chris, in the sports handicapping world is when you get a situation like Detroit is in this week, coming off a real stinker of a performance last week where they scored no points on offense. They allowed 20 in the 20-0 loss to Carolina. The public perception, and I have this thing called perception versus reality. What the public will tend to do is look, the old Janet Jackson song, right? What have you done for me lately? And if they go back to last week and they say, oh, Stafford and the Lions suck, I'm not touching them this week. I'm just using my handicapping angle here. Stafford would be a guy I'd probably consider this week, but maybe I'm wrong. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, Ron, just looking at some of you're right. The first initial reaction is I'm not going near that, right?
Yep.
But and Stafford's had 2 meetings with the Texans, once in 2012, once in 2016. Both games, a difference of 7 points or less. If I tell you his stats in those 2 meetings, 56.9 completion percentage, 681 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Now, the last meeting was in 16, so that was about 4 or 5 seasons ago. But you know what? He's home cooking, man. Thanksgiving. I know that the Lions don't have the best win record at home on Thanksgiving, I believe. But you know what? At the end, that doesn't matter when it comes to DFS. It's just the performance. And one of those meetings with Houston went, I believe, into overtime, 34-31, the last game.
Yeah, in 2012. So they haven't played them in a few years.
Yeah.
But I'm a numbers guy, and I believe in numbers. And from a point spread point of view, Detroit is 1-3 straight up, but 3-1 against the spread against the Texans. But when I'm looking at today, this lineup here, DeAndre Swift, to me, we always say it all the time. Quarterback best friend's a good running game. He's, Adrian Peterson he's up there. He's had a couple of, at the beginning of the year, he had some really good games, but he's kind of slowed down a bit in my view. Looking at his price on the weekend here, Peterson, $4,700. What do you think of that?
Well, right now they still have Swift in protocol, concussion protocol. So if he's not a go, then Peterson's going to be the lead running back there. And they even said it. And they'll mix in, obviously, Kerryon Johnson more in the passing situations. But Houston's defense, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
we saw last week against New England that you could run on them, So, for the value, it's great. I mean, 4,700. If they have to start playing from behind, maybe Kerryon Johnson at 43 is not a bad pickup.
Yeah, and you're right. The Texans defense ranked 23rd and the Lions 28th. So if there's a potential for a high scoring game, now the over-under this game is 51.5. And this week on our podcast, I did a lot of number crunching. And in the NFL this season, in the 2020 NFL season, when the total is 51.5 to 54, the over has hit 70% of the time by going 14-5-1 this season. So if that's any indication on what's to come on Thanksgiving Day in Detroit, if there's a 70% chance of this game going over the total, that means a lot of points are going to be scored. But where are those points going to come from? And with no Galladay going, who's the deep threat that Stafford can go to?
Well, so right now, Galladay's out.
I know, I do it all the time too.
Yeah, screwed me up.
Galloway.
Okay, sorry. Galladay's out. Amendola's out. But Marvin Hall's in. Marvin Jones obviously will probably be that lead guy. They're really pushing this one receiver. Trying to remember his name right now. Sorry.
Sanu, Cephas, Agnew, Hall?
Yeah, it's what's his name? Quintez Cephas.
Yeah.
And he'll most likely be filling in that slot position where Amendola would be. Another possibility too, Hawkinson is there's no injury designation for him, so it looks like he's a go. I have a feeling Hawkinson could have a big day, and at 4,700, which it's kind of like one of his lowest salaries this year, because he's kind of been holding around that like low fives to mid fives, and it's not really most of the season it's not really for his production. It was kind of just an off salary,
Mm-hmm.
But I like the 4,700 for him this week against Houston. So yeah, I would definitely keep an eye on Hawkinson this week.
Okay. I see Sanu's been added to the roster. That's an interesting pickup. Sanu off the practice squad on Wednesday. So, it's Sanu at $3,000. That's an interesting pickup. I'm going to check out the price here on DraftKings for Sanu. Yeah, they got him at 3,000. So maybe Sanu is a nice little sleeper play. There's a receiver with a bit of experience, but hasn't been very productive in the last couple of years. But hey, it's Thanksgiving Day. I always say, this is Detroit's Super Bowl every year. The whole, they got the attention of the nation on this Thursday. Anything can happen, right?
Absolutely. I mean, they're looking to get Sanu caught up, in the next for sure for this week. Anyway, I'm sure he's going to get a lot more snap counts than last week. But I'll tell you, who's for Houston, who's got my eye is Kiki Kuti.
Oh yeah,
and he came in the last week's game when Cobb went out, and performed well. Actually, he got 9 points. He had about 2 catches, 10 yards, but he did get a touchdown. And he's only 3,400. So you got guaranteed he's going to be that slot receiver for them.
Okay. Yeah, Cobb
starting role anyway.
Cobb did all right for you last week until he got injured.
He did. He caught that first touchdown for Houston, and I think he got up to about 8.7 or 9 points, something like that, until and then he got hurt, and unfortunately we can't have no control over that. But he started off well.
Now, what do you think of running backs? Who are you looking at? Any there making your core, or maybe a sleeper?
I like Duke Johnson.
Okay.
I think if usually I think Detroit usually likes to kind of slow the game down. That Matt Patricia, he tries to run the ball a little bit more, control the clock. But I think Duke Johnson, I think he can do both. He does both. He runs the ball, he can catch it out of the backfield. I like Duke Johnson this week. I don't know how many people are going to be on him, especially with Zeke Elliott in the next game at 4:00 after that,
right?
And then Gibson for Washington. So Duke Johnson could be that not a sleeper pick, but maybe someone that's not so highly owned.
Yeah, it's unfortunate he hasn't had a big game this year. Looking at his stats, 10 carries last week, only 15 yards. The week before at Cleveland, and that was a monsoon game in that bad weather game, 14 carries, 54 yards. He's getting the carries, just not getting the break to break one, right? Like, what really pads your numbers is like if you can just, break to the second level and get that 20-yard gain on one play to help pad your, it's even better if you get in the end zone. But Duke Johnson, really not having a great year. Let me see Buddy Howell here. Buddy Howell, looking at his stats. Oh no, he didn't even get. No, he hasn't even played this year. So maybe I'll have to check out his situation here. Let me see who else we got here for Houston. Just looking at some of the prices for the Texans. You got CJ Procise. Yeah. So Scotty Phillips and David Johnson. But I thought David Johnson was
he's injured.
Yeah, injured reserve. Yeah.
CJ Procise. I mean, he's had 3 carries, 4 yards. He really they haven't really involved him much yet. I mean, will they in this game? I mean, Houston's known to throw. I mean, ever since Bill O'Brien's release, the star of that offense is Watson. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So they're throwing the ball. I mean,
but
the one thing that makes me want to pick Duke Johnson is because they're up against Detroit's run defense, and we know where it's ranked. So just something to just switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, and you got a battle of 2 teams here. 3-7 and 4-6 on the season, and they're nowhere near consistent. Houston coming off a big win last week, 27-20 to the Texans. The week before that was just a bad weather game, and then 27-25 at Jacksonville. This Detroit team, again, they came out pretty good at the beginning of the year. Like they had some competitive games. Going in Arizona, winning 26-23, 35-29 against the Saints. They beat the Jags. There was a period where they were very competitive, and then the wheels just started coming off a bit. And then last weekend, I'm hoping, for Detroit, if I'm going to play some of these guys here for the Lions, obviously Stafford is in my mix. Peterson, you know why? He knows how to get in the end zone. If you get into the red zone, the green zone, like say the 5, he can find a way to get in there. So he's probably one guy that I would probably include into my my slate.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. I mean, those are two good choices. And you know what? You can also, like, looking at your total that you have, it's one of those games that, you can stack, put everybody in there. Like, you can do Watson with Peterson at running back, and, Marvin Jones, Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, Kuti, you can mix it all up.
Yep.
You could have about maybe five players just out of that game, at least going back and forth.
Hey, you know what? That's a good idea, because you look at that Washington-Dallas game, the total's 44.5. It's complete opposite of this one, where this could be a shootout, and then the Dallas Washington game could be like a field goal game. So yeah, maybe stacking is a strategy you use on Thursday when you make your roster. I never thought of that. That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And usually sometimes when you see those high totals like that in a game, that's, and you see two defenses that are low ranked, that's usually a good, I don't want to say safe bet, but it's a good bet. It's a good way to do your fantasy picks.
Well, Washington's, they got the 9th ranked number defense. Oh, there's Rusty making his daily appearance on the Raymond Report.
What's up, buddy?
Yeah. Let me see here. So yeah, Washington, number 9th ranked defense, but Dallas still, man, they've been like this ranked for the whole season, 32. And then you got the offense, 29 and 20. I see this being more of a low scoring game. And I think the bookmakers got the right total here at 44.5. I believe the total is 44.5 or 45.5 now. Mm-hmm. And this season, when the total is between 44.5 to 47, the under is 21, 24, and 1. So 55% of the games have gone under the total. I think this is a low-scoring game. But you know what? Andy Dalton looked really good last week in Minnesota. But my question is this: Can they back that up to another solid performance this week at home against Washington? And if you look at the record on the season, Washington 0-4 on the road, 3-3 at home. Where Dallas you got their only win last week at 1-4. But 2-3 in Jerry's house.
I mean, Ron, they're fighting for the NFC least, right? Like everyone's 3-7 in that division. Giants, Cowboys, Redskins, and I think Philly's 3-6-1. They got that tie that's popped them in first place there. I mean, every division game is going to count with these guys, right? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, the Cowboys looked they just didn't look like the Cowboys of earlier this year, when after Dak went down. They looked great last week, to be honest. And Andy Dalton had a good game, like against the Vikings. I was looking up some stuff with Dalton when he started this year, which was 4 games. And the receivers, I'll tell you this, 33 targets to Lamb. Lamb had 19 receptions, 222 yards, and a touchdown with the 4 starts that Dalton had. And Cooper, 28 targets with 22 receptions, 263, and a touchdown as well. So he's spreading it around, again, all you need, right, Ron? You just need that touchdown and possibly maybe a, big play, 30 to 40 yard kind of play.
Yep.
And you get, you're into double digits right there.
Well, Mari Cooper had a big game last week. He could be one of his favorite targets. And normally veteran quarterbacks like that, when they feel there's a certain tempo in a game where they got to go to their go-to guy. Cooper is that go-to guy. Gallup, Lamb's coming along, still, the rookie from forget where he's from again.
Alabama.
Alabama, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know what? They looked pretty good last week. The running game, now Ezekiel Elliott, I don't know how many points he picked up last week, but he's 6,800 this week. And Tony Pollard, I thought Pollard had a pretty good, couple of good runs. I don't know if it was enough to get you some points, but he looked pretty good.
He did. I mean, his points, he had 12 points and, broke out a big run there. But, don't count Elliott out. He had 22 points himself last week,
Oh, yeah. It's just, I feel everybody's going to have Elliott, right?
But you know what? But here's the thing, Ron. Like, there's only 2 games on the slate now. Now with the Baltimore and Pittsburgh game being postponed until Sunday.
Yeah.
You're going to have to, with these short slates, no different from like a showdown game, right? There's going to be that 75%, everyone's going to own them, right?
Yeah.
To, maybe those last 2 spots or whatever that you can mix and match some lower depth guys. Elliott's a guy that I would plug in for this game anyway. I mean, the last game against Washington, he didn't fare very well with 6 points, and he got the ball, carried 12 carries for 45 yards and no score. Difference against Minnesota was he was at 21 carries. They had him a little bit more involved, and it helps when Dalton's thrown to Cooper and Lamb, and you know what I mean. It backs defenses out of the box, right? Like they have to respect the pass at one point if they're throwing all over you. So I have a feeling if they can continue what they did last week, Zeke's definitely a good play for this week for the Turkey Bowl.
Yeah, one guy I like in this game here is Gibson for the Washington football team, Antonio Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
He could be worth he's 6,000 the price. Last week in his game against Cincinnati, he picked up 17 points, 22 points the week before at Detroit. Who knows? Maybe he has a breakout game tomorrow in Big D. And keep in mind, now this is a revenge factor game for the Cowboys because just on October 25th, Washington embarrassed the Cowboys here, 25-3 at home. And man, but that's a case where Dallas was, trying to find a replacement for Dak, and Dalton got injured. Dallas coming off that big win last week, going to come into this game with a little bit of chip in their shoulder, trying to pay back for that loss in week week 7, I think it was.
It was week 7. You're right.
Yeah. So you know what? Again, I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. Like from a sports betting handicapping perspective, I think this is, if you're going to play the total, I think the under is where you're going to go. Probably doesn't help fantasy guys unless you take. But you can't, only showdowns. You can the classics. You can take the defenses, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So, do you consider Washington defense?
You know what? I would save that money on some other players, like we said, possibly, stacking that Houston-Detroit game. You know what? I just get this feeling Dallas is. I wouldn't count Dallas out for this game tomorrow. So I would. Part of me is leaning on that Dallas defense, actually.
Yeah.
The only thing that concerns me for DFS.
Yeah, and looking at the value now, that Pittsburgh game is postponed, so that's a PPD. Mm-hmm. But Washington, 3,700 in price, and the Cowboys, 2,800 fantasy points per game. Washington, 6.4, Dallas only 2.7.
Yeah.
But Dallas is a different team in the last couple of games. Let's be honest. The Steelers game, they nearly pulled off the upset, and then the Vikings game, they got the win. So maybe that Dallas team is turning it around a bit for the second half of the series, the season, and maybe they're the team that let's be honest, they got all the talent on offense. It's the defense that's ranked 32nd in the league. If they can just pull up their socks and start playing some smash mouth defense football, Dallas could be the team that comes out of the NFC least division.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they look like they turned it around. I guess it, smashing a few watermelons got them going, I guess. I don't know, but no, they look great. I'm leaning towards Dallas tomorrow. And as far as players go, I really like Cooper as definitely a pick for one of my sauce picks anyway with Dallas.
Yeah.
For my meatball pick, I like their tight end Schultz.
Well, that's
Him as well at 3,800. In the 4 games that Dalton's started, he's targeted him 18 times.
okay.
And Dalton came down with 13 catches, 88 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, the yardage, okay, it's not very impressive, but you get inside that 10-yard line, tight ends are your superheroes down there.
And you know what, Jarwin? What's his status on the? I know he'd. No, I don't think he's. No, he's injured reserve.
Yeah.
All right.
Right now it's Schultz has been the guy there. He's getting the snap counts.
Yeah. So your meatball pick this week is what, Schultz?
Schultz, yeah, for that game, yeah, against Washington.
And your meatball pick for the other game?
For the Detroit-Houston game, my meatball pick there.
Kiki Kuti?
Yeah, well, for Houston, I like, for my sauce picks, I like, I'm always on the Watson train. For Detroit, the sauce pick as well. I know it's quarterback, but Stafford, I think, can really go off as well. As far as the meatball pick, I'm gonna go with Marvin Hall, actually.
Marvin Hall at 3,900. Yeah, you know what? Again, in this game here, there's who knows, right? It just all depends what Detroit team is going to show up tomorrow for that game. But Deshaun Watson, can you put 2 good games back to back like he did, like last week? But Stafford, the veteran at home, I'm going to really give him a look. But again, I'm just trying to think where is he going to spread the ball around, right? Especially with no deep threat. And I just go back to that Indianapolis game when Galladay got knocked out of that game. They just cut the playbook in half and it was all dink and dunk and screens. So that's what I'm going to be looking at in that aspect. What about kickers? Do we even
no? They don't have any kickers on the slate for the classics for tomorrow.
Okay.
Unless they have any showdowns. I'm sure they have a showdown game.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they do.
But you know what? As far as kickers go, I like is it Fairbairn for Houston?
Yeah, I like Prater. He's
for Detroit. Yeah,
he's been money in that in at home of this season or in the last couple of years. He's probably solid. And for I know for Washington, they got Zerline and Hopkins for Houston. But yeah, Prater would be the guy if I'm going to do any showdowns. He's the kicker I would want.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So your meatball pick, you said for the Dallas game is a Schultz. You said.
Yeah. Schultz for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and then in the other game, you're looking at
Marvin Hall.
Marvin Hall. Okay. Yeah, that should be interesting. And how many teams are you going to put in tomorrow? Did you put a lot in already, or?
Well, let's see here. I've got a couple in the Millie Maker. I've got about 4 or 5 games in the Millie Maker so far. Yeah. So go from there. We'll see what happens. Fingers crossed,
Yeah.
Like the stock market, it doesn't end until the bell rings at 7:00 tomorrow night.
Yeah.
When the last game's over, right? So.
And it's tough, right? When you only got 2 games, 3 games is okay, but 4, 2 is even less. So you got to find those right combinations and try not to go against the grain a bit, right? Because we all know, Watson will be there, Zeke will be there, Gallup or not Gallup, but
Cooper
and all those guys for Dallas. A lot of these guys will be stacking those guys. I'm going to be looking at that later on this evening. Putting in some of my selections. Again, I don't dabble in like you do. To me, it's more recreational. It keeps an interest, right? But all right. Hey, you know what? Good stuff. And so people who are interested in following you right now, where could they follow you? You're going to be coming on the website here at atsstats.com. People will be able to get your selections there. And social media, where could they find you?
So everyone can find me in Twitter and Instagram, and my handle is the Big Ragu Sports.
Big Ragu Sports for Twitter and
Instagram.
Instagram. Right on. And how many cannolis are you going to bring back home tonight?
If they make it home on the drive back, I don't know. We'll see.
Right on.
I'll go with half a dozen, and then we'll see how many are left in the box when I get to the front door.
Awesome. All right, Big Ragu, good luck with your selections on Thanksgiving Day Thursday. And we'll be looking forward to your next show here on Friday, and as we break down some of the other games. For the Big Ragu. Hey.
Thanks, Ron, for having me on the show, and happy Thanksgiving to all the our friends down south of the border.
Absolutely. For the Big Ragu, this is Ron Raymond. This was the Raymond Report for a Thursday, November 26 games. As always, shop for value, play those percentages. We'll see you back shortly with another Raymond Report.